So I heard it in the news that Mitch McConnell is refusing to put the SAVE Act to a vote. And I'm not surprised by this because I've always held that Mitch McConnell is kind of an ass. He has always been more of an obstructionist than somebody that actually is fighting for anything useful. I am really, really getting tired of Republicans like that. I know that he is planning to retire, but it frustrates me because if you look at the polling, the SAVE Act has a vast majority, overwhelming support of Republicans, overwhelming support even from Democrats, and yet we have one guy holding it up and refusing to put it to the floor. To me, that is taxation without representation. When the people say they want something, and that something is constitutional, because we should be working within the framework of the Constitution and not just, doing stuff. It makes no sense to me why then Congress wouldn't actually do what the people want it to do. People want to know that our elections are secure. And I'll be honest with you, a huge part of the problem that we're having right now in the country is there is questions of legitimacy. I don't like giving Democrats benefit of a doubt very often, just because they don't do it for us. But the 2000 election was very, very close. 2000, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe that Bush won by about 550 votes. And the Democrats wanted those recounted over and over and over and over again. And I don't recall that the vote count ever changed. Or at least if it did, it didn't change by much. And so they wanted to be able to count dimpled chads, and then they wanted to be able to count pregnant chads, and then they all wanted to be able to count tanging chads, and all these other gimmicks to try to flip the election their way. And they counted over and over and over again, and eventually the Supreme Court stepped in and said, you know what, enough of this, just certify the election. So they did, and then Bush became president, and they never accepted the results. Never. Even though the paper trail is quite clear, the evidence is overwhelming. Bush won, but he won barely. 2020, similarly, there was a lot of weird stuff that went on there. In addition to the stuff that's probably legal because of last-second rules changes to accommodate COVID, such as vote by mail, and ballot harvesting, and a bunch of other stuff that we complain about but isn't going to go away. It's just not. And so we need to acclimate to that. We need to adjust to the rules as they are instead of pining for the rules as they were, which sucks. And I'll admit, it sucks. But it is what it is. I just don't see the point in fighting that. But that alone is enough for us to now question the legitimacy of the 2020 election. In addition to that, of course, we did see things like trash cans full of Trump ballots and people kicking out poll watchers and boarding up in windows to make sure that nobody could peek in. Ballots that were traced back to addresses that didn't actually exist, and all kinds of other shenanigans. And we were not allowed to actually investigate any of that. Activist courts shut it all down, told us you're not looking into this, and if you question this, then you're bad. And that, of course, has put into doubt the legitimacy of the 2020 election. And the fact that only now are we able to start looking into it. And I'm sorry, but we are finding that there is there, at least in Georgia. We're now at a point where we have both parties now questioning the legitimacy of the election. And I think that it's reasonable and rational to say, okay, we need to take steps to make sure that the public perception of the elections is sound, that people trust the results, and that people believe in the authenticity of the results. If we don't do something like that, if we don't take those steps, then there's always going to be, it doesn't matter which party wins, somebody is going to be questioning the election.
Reinforcements.
To me,
Mitch
McConnell is doing this just to be a bitch. Pardon my language, but he's just doing this just to be a bitch. He knows he's not popular within his own party. He knows we don't like him. He doesn't like Trump. He doesn't like us. So he's doing this just to bite his thumb at us on his way out the door. And to that I say, my dear good sir, Mitch McConnell, fuck you. Honestly, in my opinion, there really should be a legal remedy for dealing with activist judges, number one, but also people that engage in taxation without representation. Because the entire purpose of the Revolutionary War was to put an end to bullshit like this. To put an end to a congressional body that just does what it wants to do for its own interests and does not adhere to the needs or the interests of the people. And again, I want to be clear that, you know, sometimes the people want things that are unconstitutional, and we should refrain from doing that, but there should be a constitutional reason for it. There is no constitutional reason for objecting to the SAVE Act. It is just rational, it's reasonable to want to make sure that we have secure elections by making sure that people are showing ID to vote. That there's nothing illogical or irrational about that at all. So for Mitch McConnell to be, you know, the one Republican who's refusing to put the bill to the floor is just, it's just him being an ass. That's all there is to it. He's just being an ass.
We did go through that rift, right? It looks
so
like
frustrating.
We're still in the same place.